Ladies, gentlemen, landlords, landladies, once again I return to give you what you all been waiting for. Due to the "Hey Skill, when are you making part 2 of FTG history video?" It's safe to say that most of you have been waiting for this your entire lives. I received some feedback from part 1 from various people, so I decided to change some things up a bit. So for now on you can see part 1 as the pre-alpha or something. But, in time it will be known as the good old days, yeah. A very huge request from Stargate was that I should try and cover larger portions per video and that I should speed things up a bit. So I suppose I should get to it. I should not waste any time. I should probably start right now, but it's time for Q and motherfucking A. Woo! Here we go. I received a lot of questions over the past few months, so I compiled them together. Question 1 out of 60,000. What's the password? Just kidding, obviously. It's been a long time coming for part 2, and I do apologize. My day from day schedule since part 1 has been pretty packed, as you can see right here. I've been from time to time making the script, but I'm not the sharpest tool in the box. For starters, I'm not even a fucking tool. I ended part 1 by the start of 2012, but actually, we have to rewind a bit to 2011 again. I did some research in a couple of places, found many old forums and blog posts related to BG2. Huge thanks to whoever the Battlegrounds observer is, since there was a lot on his blog that opened my eyes a bit and made me remember a lot more. There's a lot to read on his blog, BG2 wise, regardless of what clan you were in. So I'll put his link in the description, so check him out. And reading his things reminded me of the first BGU we were in 2011, which was, one of the weirder parts of BG2. Today we have 4 scrim teams, back then we had only 2. So team 1 was the main team where all the big boys were in, and, they were fighting a good fight, trying to win. That was what we decided, what team 1 should be like, So then Greedy Chris turned and said to me, "Hey Skill, can you lead team 2? And the people in team 2 were, the people that weren't super good, or they had bad connections and timed out every now and then, or lagged a lot. So many other clans used ringers in these matches as well. And allow me to explain what a ringer is. A ringer is somebody who is in another clan, or in a no longer active clan, who plays for, this clan asking them when they need. And these ringers, they weren't your average clan player either. They were highly skilled and highly experienced. To put in perspective that you most can probably relate to, a CN member on a good day level of player. But then again, using one ringer if you only had 4 online, it would have been fine in that case. But it was more like, you joined some clan server and they had 20 members in there that all left except 2, and 3 ringers came in to join, who all had different tags, but then they switched to, that clan's tags. And at the end of every BGU week, the rosters were open, so, many of these ringers were just swapped around to the next clan that wanted them, and then, it kept going like this. And some only used 1, but there were those exceptional cases of clans that used 3, which was okay guys, okay, I see what you're doing here. You can even still find old forums when they discuss the BGU, the predictions and all kinds of things. And these days when I'm looking back at it, it's so foolish to look at posts of these people. They're sitting there with predictions and even bragging about results when they have more than 2 of these ringers in their matches, and they're like, "Oh yeah, we beat this team, we're so good." Yeah, in your own minds you were. Yeah. I'm not gonna mention any names or clans, but you're probably searching it up at this point, aren't you? Interestingly enough, my team was actually accused of cheating 3 times. For some reason, even though we were the worst team, we didn't, on a regular basis win any matches, because when we faced these other scrim teams, we got swooped pretty hard, but that was what to be expected, so nobody cared really. But when we faced a clan called the 28th, they accused us of cheating, all 3 times, and each time, a team was accused of cheating, both teams had to give their recorded demos to Cliff, and then he had to look through them. It was a huge waste of his time, most likely, and, even when it was like the 3rd time they were accusing us of cheating, and the other 2 times we hadn't cheated, it was like, why are you even taking their word for it? Fucking just kick them out of a BGU or something. Furthermore, we also tried to expand into Age of Chivalry, which worked out for a while. It was a funny mod. We did some matches in it and got swooped pretty hard by all kinds of clans in there. Like, it worked out for a while. It was pretty fun mod, You decapitate people with your sword and shit, and do some objectives, like most likely some Lord of the Rings-ish map. But yeah. When Fireboy and Shine joined and eventually became our first American committee, we had a huge increase in American members. During the American trainings we had around 20 to 30 people on every time, and due to me being unemployed I actually attended the American trainings, and they were quite fun. If I'm gonna be real with you, the American trainings was a really good time, because we used many creative training maps. It wasn't the standard shooting range one, it was more like obstacle courses. You jump over stuff, crouch over stuff, run around poles and then stab some target while you're doing it. A lot more fun than standing lined up and shooting, but yeah. Also, why are there no maps like this in BG3? Port that shit, fucking hell. Mid or late 2011 I was promoted to the Central Committee due to Greedy Chris stepping down. There had been some discussion with TRR about having a Napoleonic Wars server together when it released, and we were interested in having an NW regiment because we had a member called Johan who had a mounted musket regiment called the Royal Scots. So mounted musket was like the mod that eventually became Napoleonic Wars, so we already had it set, it felt like. We were, however, on the doorsteps of a big major drama that was about to make everything turn out very different. Fireboy had felt for a while that Joe was against him, and even bullying him. He often mentioned this to me and others. One day he had enough and called Joe out on it. This was a pretty big thing when it happened, because it was already clear that, a lot of people felt the same as Fireboy, that he was going a bit too far, but there were also others that didn't, so we had already kind of obvious sides taken there, yeah. Yo did, however, apologize for what he's done, but from this point on, things only got worse. Certain people who were in support of Fireboy continued to go after Joe at every given time, calling him out in any places they could, referring this in all kinds of posts and shit. It was kind of stupid that they did that. Very stupid. He had already apologized, so at this point it should be fine, but due to people going at him, he eventually demoted himself down to head RO. This indirectly made me, who was the second in command, it made me the leader of it all. And that's where I've been since, yeah. But for a time, things carried on as usual, but we were very naive at this time, because Yo still had full access to our forum and its admin panel, and the server and its admin panel. But we hoped things would slowly settle and return to normal. In March of 2012, however, Yo and Greedy Chris had a very hostile 8-page chat with each other that caused Greedy Chris and his ex Millwood to leave. Before leaving, Greedy Chris said his famous line to me, Skill, take care of 4-2 for me. Then he went offline forever. Nah, he actually did come back online the next day, just with different tags, yeah. Yo, who had been quiet for a while, suddenly, had a 10-page discussion with Cookie about reforming 4-2 CDO. It was a lot about how he wanted things to be done, and he wanted exclusive rights to be able to kick anybody below the age of 18. And Cookie shared this chat with all of us, and it was clear that this wasn't what either of us wanted or what the members wanted, so it got denied. Furthermore, regarding our NW section, some in leadership didn't want Johan to lead it. I, however, said that he should, because, the Royal Scots was his regiment. It was, it would be kind of a dick move to just say, you can't do this, I'm sorry. But majority ruled that it should be somebody else. Since I was the one to announce it, many saw it as my decision, despite that I was against the decision. I wanted him to be the leader of our NW regiment, but yeah, that's how it all turned out. Suddenly one day, we came online to a lot of new messages. Certain posts were missing from the forums. Yo's account and all posts had been deleted. And Many of his posts, they held like these kind of things, like here is the application you need to put to make an application, and our ranking system, like all those things were deleted. He did, however, actually have heart to put the ranking system over to another post, so it was actually saved. Many other posts like that were deleted. Many of us had to work on restoring all these posts, and later on we found out we could have made some kind of like rollback, but we had already gotten so far by then, so we just kept going. We did discover that Yo and a couple of our members had a new forum called the Royal Scots. At first we had hopes to kind of stop this split from happening, but it was clear from the very start that the members he had with him, they were in full support of what he was doing, so it made the whole situation impossible. I also received a message from a member in another BG2 clan. He told me to have a look at the 76th forum. Yo had made a post there where he explained that he was the idiot that created 42CDO, and that he had full access to our server panel and could change things up for the lols. Rather than being diplomatic about this, I threw more fuel into the fire by personally attacking him on the 76th forum. Obviously I shouldn't have done that. Our server was invaded by 76 members who suddenly had admin. One of our members actually recorded a demo that I still to this day have somewhere, because it was part of the big proof, yeah. But it recorded a lot of the 76 people being on the server, having admin, setting people on fire, slaying people, while somebody in the admin panel, aka console, was typing meow, meow, meow over and over. Yo had also made our forum completely public to everybody, which took us like a day to find out or something. From this point on, Yo tried to distance himself from BG2 and leave for the 42CDO issues with the 76th. We did pursue him a couple of times, but there was also many members that didn't want the whole thing to continue. So eventually we officially stopped. So who won this, you may ask? I mean, there are no winners in a drama like this, only losers. Both parts' actions were for the most part wrong anyway. From the talks I've had with Yo in later years about this, I've said that I should have worked more on, preventing this all from happening, but he insisted that there is nothing I could have done. The whole thing settled our 7-man committee. We had a meeting where I famously asked, should we keep 42CDO going? And they all said yes. Even though we didn't have any relations further with the Royal Scots, their forums were for the most part public, so it was very easy to read their downfall a couple of months later. Johan, who had been leading his regiment over there, I had a couple of talks with him, because he also left with Joe. I told him that Joe would eventually turn on him. He called me crazy. His mistake. And due to the Royal Scots breaking off, we needed a new regiment name for our NW section, so me and Cookie decided that the Royal Marines, TRM, was, probably the best alternative. We had major server issues because Yo had not only accessed our server panel for the 76th, he had given them the login details as well, so many of our configs were broken, and each time we started our server up, one of them came in and had given themselves admin. And the server provider we had at the time said that he switched the Archon password, but he didn't. We asked him like 5 or 6 times, then we basically cancelled the server and got ourselves a new provider and working configs. We had an ongoing conflict with the 76th for a couple of months. Eventually I did talk with their leader and managed to somewhat create a peace with them. Despite our loss of like 10 members to the Royal Scots, we were still one of the bigger clans in BG2 due to that many that had left were really inactive in BG2 anyway. And sometimes after this we had a vote on community name and tags where 42 Gaming and FTG was decided. My personal pick, yeah. For some people the 42CDO tags represent the old age and the FTG tags represent the new age. But we started to reach a spot where it wasn't fun in the same way as before. For one thing with the BG2 community is that in their forums, like they had regular updates and shit like that where they used to type stuff, but they never mentioned us, or well, rarely, mostly in negative ways. They kept mentioning like pugs on other servers that had like 10 people on them, but our 46 slot server that was filled most of the days for months were never mentioned. I'm not mad though, I mean, their pugs and servers died out long before our server did. During August of 2012 we started building a new forums. Due to that we had a member called Stormy Aaron, who happened to be a SATA board moderator. I mean, something he was there, but he never told us what. He hooked us up with a premium forum for free, so in September 2012, our second forum was closed down and we moved on to the third one. The TRM regiment faded out in late 2012. I was not informed of this though until December of 2012, when we officially closed the section. I had still been paying for the server, shared with the TRR, for months, even though none of our members were playing on it. During the start of 2013, there was already talks about putting the BG2 section to rest because the people who were mainly leading it was me and Cookie, and we were very tired of it, and whenever we managed to promote somebody else to committee, they were never active in the same extent as us. And in every nomination and election we had, me and Cookie got the most votes because we had gotten shit done in the past, so, people trusted us to run things. But we wanted to focus our efforts elsewhere. BGT wasn't reliable for a long term, and it was many of us didn't want to continue in it. But then there were also people that were afraid to look beyond it. And we were also in for one final BG2 drama that helped to put the final nails in the coffin, I might say. Due to the past, where our format had been made public, we had a secret section that only Central Committee were in. But as we got further away from this drama, we began to open up more, so we allowed the forum moderators to be included in the secret section, because the secret section was mainly for improving the community. There wasn't anything super secret about it in general. And sometimes you need input from more people in order to make something work. But what it came down to though was that a member known as Numbers wanted to rejoin for the 40th time at this point, but many members were against it, saying he was a troll. But I don't know what they're all talking about. They were all fine hanging out with him when they all were bronies together, but whatever. I stated that we would discuss it in the leadership. So some members began to panic and threatened to leave if he was allowed to rejoin. This was of course very childish. It pissed me off a lot. And I told Numbers that due to the circumstances, you cannot rejoin. I made it clear to the members that I didn't like that they behaved like this. One of them, however, confronted me. He was typing to me, as if I was a child or something. He was like, "Oh, Skill, he's gonna hurt your feelings. You need to stop trusting people." I mean, my feelings weren't hurt when the 76th doxed me, so a member rejoining and trolling and then leaving probably wouldn't even hit near the bar. Besides, we needed people that were active, and many of the ones that didn't want him back weren't really active, so it's their opinions become kind of downplayed. But this chat I had with this member, I wanted to show it to Chaos Power. And you have to remember, this is the age where, Discord doesn't exist yet, and there is no way to show somebody huge amounts of texts. So I simply put the conversation in the secret section so he could read it. And I was gonna delete it after he read it, but my PC crashed. It was late, so I went to bed. The next day, however, I had to watch from my phone at a birthday party how this member had left and the situation had escalated a lot. Our boy Mad Shark was even going on about how disgusting it was that we in the leadership had a secret section where we discussed things. It's like if I open a DM with somebody, "This is our secret section now, we are CIA." Ninja Tiger was obviously one that had leaked the post I had made. So to show everybody, just how little there was in the secret section, I made it public to all the members. It contained actually most personal, stuff within us in the leadership, and even some people's health problems. So, showing this, I hope it would, calm people down and, made them realize that maybe this wasn't such a big thing as they made it out to be. Because they made it out to seem like, we were discussing things about them behind their backs. That was never the case, unless it was a member rejoin, where we had a discussion about it. But these people, they didn't care even if they were proven wrong, so they left afterwards. Because that's what they had already decided to do. They were all set as seeing us as some evil clan with a secret government and, blah blah blah. And since these 3 members were actually, active in the community way more than the other 10 people that left a year prior, this was a much bigger loss. Most of the members were actually still in agreement that I had done nothing wrong with having a secret section. And since people complaining about the secret sections were proven wrong and they left, many saw their actions as childish. Chaos Power had an extended talk with all 3 of them, and behind all their childish points, they had some ideas for reforms and stuff that would make 42CDO great again, I guess. So Chaos Power made a post about this, how he explained how we had too many ranks, sub-ranks, and how some people held leadership ranks but never did anything. He was shut down by members who were inactive and were holding high ranks, and it's a perfect example of why we failed in the end in BG2. We were on a sinking ship, but nobody wanted to pick up some boards and repair the hull. I mean, the thing that they really wanted was that there was more gonna be a thing where we have people that are admins, people that are veterans, and people that are members. And I suppose some leadership rank for whatever section we have. Kinda like our Discord is right now, but okay. And I've heard a lot of rumors about how 42CDO died out in BG2, and it's funny since I was there. It's always funny to hear all these little rumors, because it's most likely that I know better than everybody why it happened. I've heard many absurd versions of how kids gained power through voting, because people like to make fun of our, voting system and nominations, even though all of your clans died like 5 years earlier than ours, but never mind. But they said that, there was some vote that apparently took place, and people that were below the age of 18 kicked out everybody above the age of 18, and they then became the LCG or whatever that clan was called. I don't even remember. But the truth is, most of us were tired at BG2, and a lot of people were inactive. There were lacks of updates. So eventually we officially closed the 42CDO section in BG2 on the 17th of July 2013. But at the time we had already opened a second Napoleonic Wars section, the FTG regiment. But I will tell you all about that in the next video. I will try to make these videos faster after December, as I will not have as much work as I have now. It has been very hectic at my job. Keep in mind as well that I'm just one man holding 99.8% of the mass of the solar system in my soft little hand.